cup at a time. Yeah, this is tea time. Yeah, making a difference. One cup at a time. So be sure to grab your tea, grab a seat, and tune in to Miss Liz. Tea time. Making a difference. One cup at a time. Tea time, yeah. Tea time.
Well, good morning and welcome to Tea Time. That's right, we are back. And guess what? We are hitting the 100th episode. That's right, you'll see the big 100 on the screen. And I have my incredible co-author sister from Sacred Hearts Rising. That's right, we wrote in Sacred Hearts Rising book 4, Courage Under Fire. Go out, check it out. It's on Amazon. Her story is in there. And this morning we're going to be talking about her story. And I really wanted to make Angel number 100. There's a reason why I did that, because I wanted to show her that she does have a story to make a difference. So, and I wanted to do an extra special 100 episode with a sister. Why not, right? Because that's how Miss Liz rolls. So again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. This is the 100th episode of 2023. This is the biggest year for Miss Liz on Tea Time. And I want to thank all the countries who have been downloading and supporting all of my guests with your downloads, because you do make a difference. We are heard on over 37 different countries right now. We're being downloaded all over. So all of my guests are being heard and seen all over the world. So again, this book is on Amazon. Go out, grab your copy. There is incredible stories in here, angels in here, and her story. If there's a will, there's a way. No. Let me see. I have it. There's a will, there is a way. That is what her title is called in the book. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about her transformation and becoming a best-selling author, how that feels, because I know sometimes it can be overwhelming for us when it becomes our first time. I know in 2017, when I became my first international best-selling author, it was like really weird. I was like, oh, really? This is how this feels? Okay. So I want to ask her how she feels about it, because it's her day. It's her day to shine. So a little bit on Angel. Well, I haven't really I met Angel in person, I think in 2019, the last time I went to Edmonton. I believe she was there with Daphne, another co-author sister, and we got to meet each other. I'm not sure. Angel will let me know if we have met in 2019 when she was at the Sacred Hearts Rising Summit. I think you were there. No? Okay. So we haven't met in person, but we will one day, because that's my goal, is to meet everybody. So a little bit on the Angel Bounds. Comes from a small town in Alberta. That's right. She's a Canadian girl, guys. She always tries her best to learn and to do new things. And when in doubt, she will just wing it. Angie is a mother of 5 beautiful and amazing children who were born to teach her about love. She's also an animal lover who has taken in rescues. Angie shares much kindness and healing with every heart she touches. Truly an angel sent from heaven above. She enjoys sharing love through blessing blankets she makes for others. You can usually find her behind a sewing machine or hiding under a blanket she just finished crocheting. Angie enjoys her healthy lifestyle. Her biggest dream is to record a song, which I want to talk to her about, because that's pretty cool. And her biggest dream And her biggest dream is to go to Sarn. I'm repeating myself here. We are this morning on the 100 show. Miss Liz has got a little bit of bloopers here going on, but she knows there are so many more adventures to come. So let me get Angie in here, and we're going to sit and spill a good, strong cup of tea with you this morning. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. And check out Miss Liz's platforms at www.misslizsteatimes.com. Let me get Angie in here. Let me share a good, strong cup of tea because I see her sipping on some tea. I think maybe coffee, but that's okay. Let me get her in here. So let me welcome Angie. Welcome, Angie.
Hello.
So, Angie, I have a few questions for you this morning. So I want to get started with who you were as a little girl and who you are now.
I don't really remember much of my childhood. So I'm spent most of it in like survival mode, and now I'm thriving.
So, Angie, what got you to write your story?
I want it. Sorry, I'm emotional.
Nope, that's okay. On tea time, you're allowed to cry, you're allowed to laugh, you're allowed to giggle, you're allowed to be you.
I guess I just spent most of my adulthood struggling really bad with massive health issues. And I wanted other people to realize that you can take your life into your own hands and thrive with it. Like you can get healthy.
So, how long did it, Angie, to get healthy?
Um, a really long time, actually. I struggled. I had a knee brace, I had a cane, I was in a wheelchair. And that was in January of 2017. I weighed over 320 pounds, and I had like 3 years left to live. So I just went to a doctor's appointment, and he belittled me really bad. And from that day, I just went out in the car and I looked over at my husband at the time and I was like, hey, I'm going to Mexico for weight loss surgery. And he looked at me and he's like, yeah, okay. Like, how are we doing this? And I looked at him and that's when I said, if there's a will, there's a way.
I really like the title of your story because it is true, right? When there's a will, there's a way. And I didn't know that you went to Mexico. So how did that go about?
Yeah. So I had a friend who also went to Mexico and had the same surgery done. And I just texted her out of the blue and I was like, hey, where did you go? So she went through this company in Saskatchewan and she gave me the number to the lady there. So I texted her and then everything just happened. Like within a week's time, I was going to Mexico for weight loss surgery.
So how does that work, Angie, over there? Like, is it like a 3 month hospital stay? Like, how long do you stay in Mexico?
3 days.
Oh,
Yeah, I had a vertical gastric sleeve, which they removed 80% of my stomach. So I was left with like a sleeve, like a banana. It can hold up to like 1.5 cups to 2 cups at a time. I can't drink and eat at the same time. And everything just went amazing. It was the best experience of my life. And everybody that I talked to about it, they're like, Angie, are you serious? Like, dude. And I was like, yeah, I'm serious. This is actually going to happen. They're like, well, what if this happens? And I was like, that's not going to happen. And I was like, this is my story, man. I'm like, everything's just going to go. And it did. I think the hardest part about it was the liquid diet and almost wanting to like hurt people when they ate in front of me.
yeah, that's got to be hard, right? Like, there's got to be a lot of adjustments and transformation and new ways
Yeah,
of living too.
totally. And when I went to Mexico the day of my surgery, I weighed in at 273 pounds. I was no longer in a knee brace and I didn't have to use my cane. And that was my goal, to like be able to walk, to go on the airplane to get there. And also we had no money. Like we had nothing at that time. And it was like just this dream that I had. And some amazing people from our church donated us some money. And it was the exact amount of money we needed for the airfare to get there. So that's why my story is, if there's a will, there's a way. Because, you know, I mean, you don't have a lick of hope, but you have a dream, I guess. That's kind of why I wanted to share my story with people.
Well, and it gives people the inspiration of holding on, right?
Yeah. Like there is hope out there.
So how did it feel to become a best-selling author?
I still haven't even let that sink in yet.
Right? It's a lot to process, because we're still the same individuals. We're still the same people. It's just we have that, you know, to add to our bios and add to our, you know, resumes that we've done this. We've shared our stories. So how is it for your family and that to find out that you wrote your story?
They're really proud of me. My family is. But like for me personally, I literally am like, yeah, I wrote a book, or I wrote a story in a book. And I'm like, that's about as far as it went. Because even to today, like I sit there and stare at this book and I just cry half the time. I was like, you did this. Like, wow.
Yeah.
That was one of my dreams as a child too, is to be a writer.
So how did you find out about Sacred Hearts Rising?
Daphne.
I knew it was Daphne that you were connected to. Daphne is an angel, man. If anybody hasn't checked out Daphne, check out Daphne. She has a book,
You do
her own
you.
book out there. Yeah, You Do You. I have to get her on here for that book, you know, because she's an amazing soul. She's got a good heart, that woman. So, so did we ever meet in person, or we haven't met in person?
No, we haven't met in person.
So Brenda needs to do a summit. She needs to get us authors together so that we can all get together again, right?
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah. I think with COVID and everything that happened, everybody just kind of went all their different ways. So,
Yeah.
so when the book came out, when you were writing the process, was it like going through it all over again, Angie, or?
To be honest with you, I got really scared in the process and I gave up. I was like, dude, you can't do this. Like, what are you doing? And Brenda talked me out of it and told me, she's like, no, girl, like, you got to do this. You have to do this. You got to do this. This is part of your story. And I actually finished it. So, yeah. I've realized a lot in my life that you can't just give up and throw in the towel, even though how bad you want to, and you can't run away from your problems. You should just face them head on, which is sometimes really hard to do, but
yeah. Brenda's a good mama bird. Like, she'll push you when you need to push, and you're like, oh, I don't want to do it. And she's like, just do it.
Yeah, I needed to push off the whole cliff, man. It's like, how did you do it? I'm like, are you sure? I just want to be invisible. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I've
So let's
also
talk about that
realized
thing.
can't
Let's talk
be
about that,
invisible.
Angie. Yeah, let's talk about that invisible syndrome.
Oh my gosh. I was raised to like be invisible. It's like, as you're just supposed to be seen and not heard, right? So I've spent most of my life that way, and that's why that's why I was so big, and that's how I got so big, from like abuse and like verbal abuse from my mom and stuff like that. And I hid, because it's like, you know, you don't like fat people? Well, okay, we'll just go eat this cake over here and gain 20 more pounds. Like, I don't care if you don't like me. I'm not here for you to like me. So I just, yeah. And being a skinny person, from after being that size, I find myself, people look at me and they're like, why do you dress like that? Why are you wearing such a big hoodie? And I'm trying to be invisible. Like, I'm still trying to hide. And I was like, it clicked in, and I'm like, oh, okay. Like, so I still try to hide and be invisible sometimes.
Yeah. So anybody that's going through like a weight loss journey, they do struggle with that, right? After they lose the weight, they still feel that they need to cover up, right?
Oh, I totally do it. Like my arms, I have the worst hangy skin on them. And some people I feel really judged by. So you usually see me wear like a hoodie or something to try and hide it. But then I'm like, really? Like, I don't really care. If you don't like to look at it, don't look at me, because, it's part of me, and I'm not going to get that surgically removed. So deal with it or don't look at me. But I also went and got a tattoo, a memorial tattoo on my upper arm.
Okay.
And as you say, part of the invisibleness for me, it was so you would look at the tattoo on my arm and like not see the hangy skin type thing. You would see the beauty rather than the what you want to like portray as not beautiful.
So what kind of tattoo did you get?
Oh, it's got a clock in it.
Oh.
Okay, I'll try and set this down.
I'm always interested in tattoos because there's always something that represents the tattoo. Well, for most people, some people, they just, oh, wow. Angie, that's gorgeous.
Oh, that way. And the sunflowers, because even though a sunflower gets sad, it still looks at the sun. But in the clock right there, I don't actually know what the time says, but it's supposed to be like a symbol of my weight loss.
Oh, well, that's different.
So that would be like the time. So it's supposed to say like 2:30 or 2:20 or something like that. But I've actually, through my whole weight loss, I've lost like 240 pounds.
Oh, congratulations.
Because I used to weigh over 400 pounds. But before my surgery, I've kept the other 100 pounds off. So when I was in my 20s, I was like over 400 pounds.
Oh, wow. A real transformation. So
Yeah.
how did you find out about this thing in Mexico, this surgery?
Well, I started going through the process in Canada for the surgery. And then it was like, it got kind of stalled and my brain got in the way, my head, because I was like, you can't do this, man. Like, and I also had a sleep eating disorder where I'd eat in my sleep and I didn't know that I was eating until I woke up with like cookies in my bed, chocolate covered almonds all over me and my hair, and a bag of sunflower seeds one day. And I'd wake up with like the worst stomach aches and stuff like that. So I was like, yeah, you can't do this. And also my mom would say like really mean things to me a lot. And I thought, because she had passed away, as my reasoning for starting my weight loss journey was her death. And I just got really scared. So I stopped the process in Canada. And then I had one friend who lived in Drayton Valley as well. And she had the surgery done. And I'd start asking her a lot of questions about it. And then I just started doing a lot of research online with watching the My 600 Pound Life shows and all those shows about all the weight loss surgery and stuff. And then I started Googling the different surgeries and what they were. And I just gathered a lot of information. And then, as I said, I phoned the day of the when I had that doctor's appointment, I phoned my one friend, and that's how I found out about Mexico, that she had it done. But I was pretty scared. I'm like, yeah, okay. But it was just easier in a way to do it that way than it was to go through the Canadian way to do it, because they were still going to make me wait in Canada for up to 3 years for the surgery, and I would have been dead by then.
Wow. There's that long of a waiting list in Canada?
Yes, because they make you go through a lot of counseling and a lot of different things so you can be successful with it. And I've also known a few people that had the surgery and they've gained their weight back and then some.
Wow.
So it's like, it's hard to be successful at it, but you also have to rewire your brain, because just because your stomach got removed don't mean your brain ain't going to be like, hey, we need to eat a cake. They may take you all day to eat the cake, but you could possibly do it.
Yeah.
For me now, I just have like a little tiny, like a bite of cake, and I'm good.
So like your appetite has really shrunk too, right?
Yes and no. Some days my eyes are way bigger than my stomach, and I fill a whole plate full of food still, and I'm like, yeah, like who are you feeding with that, man? Like, where are we going? But yeah, I've never tried to eat the whole plate. But yeah, your brain is still there with the food because it's an addiction. Food's an addiction.
So Angie, you mentioned that you started your journey after your mom passed. Was it because you felt safe to continue that journey without judgment from her?
I had before my mom passed, I was dealing with massive gallbladder issues, and the medical system almost killed me, and I almost died because of my weight. And they kept telling me it was irritable bowel syndrome, and I needed my gallbladder removed. I had a gallstone stuck in the entrance of my gallbladder for 4 years. 4 years. I had dealt with gallbladder issues since the age of 8. And I couldn't even drink a glass of water. I was going into gallbladder attacks, and it started happening because I lost 30 pounds. And that's what triggered it. So I was dealing with that when she'd passed away, and I was waiting to go in for gallbladder surgery to have it removed. But I had to fight with the medical system for that. And I finally found a doctor in Red Deer that was like, dude, you need your gallbladder removed. And I was like, yeah, I know. But like, are you going to help me with this? And he looked at me and he said, I can, but you have to wait like 7 weeks because it's so inflamed that we can't do it right now.
Wow.
So yeah, so after I got my gallbladder removed is when, because you can't eat a whole lot of those foods and stuff like that. But after that's when I started going to like kickboxing and doing all that type of stuff. But it really was empowering because it kind of was a thing where she had left and I was able to move forward from it because I felt like I had nobody to hold me back anymore. And I had my kids, just looking at their little faces, you're just like, oh my gosh, we got to figure this out.
So Angie, the reason why I asked why you shared your story after your mom passed, because I was like that with my dad too. I felt like I could write it without being judged or without being, scared to pull that story out. Especially when we come from abusive parents or backgrounds, we kind of protect the abuser. So once they pass, then we're like, oh, okay, I'm safe now. I can share, right?
Yeah.
So I want to get that out there for the listeners as well, because a lot of my listeners are survivors of abuse and grief and mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And weight loss is a part of mental health as well, because you had to go through learning how to reprogram and rewire yourself, correct?
Yep.
So the struggles that you had when you were writing your story, Angie, and Brenda pushed you down over the edge and told you, no, get this done. Because that's what Brenda does. Brenda just pushes. But she does it in a way that she knows is good for us to get pushed,
Mm-hmm.
At the time, we're like, would you back off? We'll get it done when we get it done. But she pushes us when we need that push. And we need that in life. We need people pushing us,
Yep.
So after your story came out, did your family find out stuff about you as a child that they did not know, or that they just turned a blind eye to?
I don't actually know how to answer that question because I don't really have like the closest of relationships with my family. We don't really talk about stuff like that, but I do know that they are proud of me. And I'm pretty sure some stuff in there about my mom and stuff nobody really did know about. But like that, it's my story and I needed to tell it. So whether what they choose to take from that is on them. It's not on me because I needed to speak my truth.
Well, I'm really glad that you spoke your truth, because, we need these stories out there, Angie. They're hard stories, but they're actually going to impact someone's life. They're going to change someone's life because they're going to read your story and they're going to say, you know what, I can do this too.
Yes, I would hope that somebody would be like, hey, like I want to inspire people.
Right. So we have a comment here from Adam Duvall. He's the mental health warrior. founder and creator in the UK, and he made a comment here. I want you to answer. 7 weeks. Wow, that's a medical negligence, isn't it? Did you feel like you were being, abused by the medical systems?
My whole life, my whole entire life, you're fat. Oh, okay, I get that. Like, I get that. I'm fat, yeah, but I actually have a medical emergency right now. Like, yeah. And the one I'm also allergic to the narcotic drugs that they give you in the hospital. So they would hook me up to like morphine for the gallbladder attacks, and I can't even explain to you how much pain I was in from that because I'm like massively allergic to morphine.
I am too.
So they'd have to give you like Gravol, which helped for the barfing, and then the Benadryl, and I'm also allergic to Benadryl.
Oh, wow.
So it's like
I live on Benadryl because I'm allergic to everything. I'm just like, put me in a bubble.
right? I'm like, I don't want to keep band-aiding this for pain. I actually want you to fix this. And once they finally took my gallbladder out, it helped me out so much with like the starting of the weight loss and being able to eat actual proper food. Because at a certain point, your stomach just stops digesting your food properly because it's like malnourished, and it won't absorb your vitamins and stuff like that. And I also had I had diabetes, like up 24, my sugars were at, and that was normal for me.
Wow.
Back then as well. So it really did affect everything. I was just a walking medical like heart attack waiting to happen, basically.
Yeah, I was just reading about that you were diagnosed with diabetes type 2, which I was just diagnosed with. For anybody that's out there listening, what is diabetes type 2, Angie?
It has something to do with your pancreas doesn't produce your insulin properly. And when it does that, it like shuts your systems down, and you don't even have to eat sugar to get high sugars, but it affects you a lot. So many people nowadays are walking around as diabetics and not even knowing it. I've also diagnosed 4 people as diabetic, and they went to the hospital and got tested, and they had full-blown diabetes.
Wow.
I can smell it from them. Some people you can smell the
I've been told that you can smell it on the body. It's almost like you have a sweet odor that shoots off, right?
Yeah. I'm separated from my husband at this moment in time, but last year I diagnosed him as a diabetic. I was like, you need to go get your sugars checked, and he was like, he's done a really good job lowering his sugars, but he was full-blown diabetes, and his sugars were up at like, they were so high he should have been in a coma.
Wow. So is your diabetes under control now, Angie?
It's gone.
It's gone.
Yeah, I'm no longer a diabetic. I'm no longer on high blood pressure medication.
Awesome.
I'm no longer on any medication. I just take my vitamins daily, but I still have to be very cautious about the diabetes because I still can get it because it's basically like a borderline type thing. So you still have to watch your diet and stuff like that.
Well, that's awesome news. I love when everyone gets off of medicine. I'm just like, yeah, let's celebrate.
And I was also on really heavy medication for depression as well for many, 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 many years. And I no longer take any of that stuff either.
Awesome. That is awesome. I love when people get off of medicine. I'm not one for medication, so I'm like, yes, way to go. So
no, it freaks me out. I don't know. Take meds is like, yeah.
So Angie, I want to get into your tea. So if I give you the letter TEA, what 3 words would you give me to describe your tea?
Oh, these words come to my brain as tolerance, like education, and allowing.
Oh, do you want to tell me a little bit about why those words?
I have no idea. They just popped into my head. Probably the tolerance of people in general. And be going from a big person to a small person is like, I can't even explain it to you. And then when you see people who used to know you as a big person and they see you at this size, it's like they get really weird around you and stuff like that.
Oh.
Or me in general, yeah. And then I get stuff like, well, I didn't know you as a big girl, Angie. Why are you trying to explain yourself like that? And I'm like, because I lived my whole life like that. So for me, it's like a tolerance as to basically who I can share my story with. And educated, I love the education. I love education. I love learning. Every single day I learn something new, especially in the new job and career that I'm in right now. And allowance would just be allowing love in again, to just allowed to be loved, share my love and allow it to come in as well.
See, and this is how your tea works. Like people, it's that simple. It just pops in, and then it's like, that's who I am. That's my tea. Because I can't tell you what your tea is, Angie, because I'm not the one living your story, right? So, and that's why we serve the TEA, because we show people that we have different flavors and blends, different words that describe who we are and what we've gone through. And people do judge us, right? Because if they don't know us in the past and then we talk about the past, they're like, but I never knew you back then. So why are you telling me? Well, because that's part of who I am.
Right.
Right. Let me give you a little of who I am. Like, we're not trying to go back in the past. We're just trying to tell you who we were before and why we are the way we are now today.
Yeah. It's like part of your learning process to get educated. It's like, oh,
right.
I don't know. It's like, why are you the way you are? You can't really be like, I don't know, but it's like, well, I don't know.
So Angie, in your bio, you said that your dream is to write a song, to record a song. Have you written a song that you would like to record?
Not yet, but
not yet.
I hear music in people. Certain people, I hear music in them, and it allows me to become closer to them in a way, because it's like I can hear your song. They're like, what are you talking about? And I was like, I don't know. I hear music in you, and it's like, it's rewarding for me as well to be that way. I'm just an individual. I see things and hear things and all kinds of stuff, but.
So if you could write a song, what would you call it?
It doesn't have a name yet, but it's like...
You know what? That could be the name of it. It doesn't have a name yet.
That's a perfect one.
That's actually a good title. It doesn't have a name yet. That's different, and I love different. So that's just the way, it doesn't have a name yet. That's got a ring to it, Angie. Like, I think that would be like your song. Like, it doesn't have a name yet. Let me get there. Let me transform. So Angie, I asked you your favorite color, and your favorite color was, well, you said you like all colors. Yeah. And then I asked you to give me one color, because I remember that, because you was like, Liz, I like all colors. And I'm like, okay, but if you had to pick one color, what color would you pick? And you gave me red. So why red?
Because it's a primary color. And oh my gosh, I keep getting texted. Sorry. It's the color of love. And I guess my whole life I just wanted to be loved like I love. And I think that's why I was born, was to show my mother love. And she couldn't handle it. So she would retaliate, push me away, like the story of like the little soul that was like always searching its whole life. And I guess that's basically what the color red means to me.
See, that kind of goes with like the song, It doesn't have a name yet, the lost soul,
Yeah,
it's
like the
almost like,
Velveteen Rabbit.
right? You just never know. Maybe you're going to create your song like from this tea time. You're going to just like, you know what? That actually makes sense. And not.
Probably.
So, when I asked you to give me one word to describe yourself, and you gave me enlightenment, enlighten,
Yeah,
not enlightenment, enlighten. So, why that word, Angie?
because I feel that I was born with a purpose. And some days I hide my light because it's like I feel like I'm too bright. And other days I don't hide my light because it's like I want to be the light that helps others shine through their dark days as well. And I've been told before by certain individuals that it's like I enlightened them, and I never actually understood what they meant by that until after I get around certain people, and then it's like I feel better after like leaving than when I went there. So that's why, because it's like I'll give you my light and you can give me yours.
Oh, see, I think that's part of the song too. I'm telling you, we're gonna write a song on this tea time.
Yes.
Like, for anybody that would like to know about the journey in Mexico, is there a site that they can go to, Angie? Is there like a
The
website or?
Oasis of Hope. I went, it's the Oasis of Hope, and his name was Dr. Jamie Ponce.
So, do you have to go back anytime in the future to see him, or is it just a one-time thing?
No, it was just a one-time thing, and they kept in contact over a year and a half through emails back and forth.
So, did they do like any video calls or conferences after the surgery with you? Or?
No, they didn't. But the lady that I went through it, she no longer works for that site or company anymore because this was like 6 years ago. But she would keep in contact with me and call me and everything. And actually, the guy who did my surgery in Mexico, he actually came to like our hotel room in the hospital, because you stay in the hospital overnight for like one day. Then they send you to like this beautiful hotel where you sleep for the night and you fly home the next day. And the doctor, that my surgeon is the one who drove me to go get my meds. And then he drove us to the hospital. I mean, to the hotel room afterwards. It's
So
pretty, it's like the coolest experience ever.
So you highly recommend it?
Yeah, the Oasis of Hope, and they also help people with cancer. It's like a cancer center down there too, where they just basically feed you a whole bunch of nutritious meals and stuff.
Oh, I think I've heard of this place because I think one of my friends who passed away from cancer did go there. The name's starting to sound familiar
Yeah,
because
it's just
that's what he did, was
beautiful.
go on a fruit diet, like not a fruit diet, but they put him on a bunch of different vegetables and fruits and
Yeah,
caffeine, um, and all of that. So yeah, it's starting to ring a bell now.
and it's a
So,
beautiful, beautiful place there as well. And they also drove me across the border and then drove me back across the border to catch the plane,
oh, that's really nice.
where you didn't have to wait in line or anything because you just had surgery. But
Yeah, because I was going to ask you, like, you had surgery and then you came home, right? So,
yeah,
like, the process in the airport, you had this a special way of getting through, right? Without them.
after the surgery, I was allowed to take a wheelchair because I just had surgery. I couldn't walk that far or anything because you're still on a liquid diet.
So, are you still on a liquid diet today?
No, to this day, I cannot handle the smell of chicken broth soup.
Right? It's all those broths, all the liquids, like.
No, I'm good. I'm so good. I was like, yeah, I'm good.
So, has anybody read your story and said to you, Angie, thank you for sharing your story?
Some people, yeah. as I said, I hide it still. Probably shouldn't do that. I'd like to share it more. So you allowing me this tea time will allow me to come out of my box and do this.
Well, I think it's important for us to share our stories, right? Because we still feel that invisible syndrome, because we've hidden all of our lives. We've been taught you can be
Yes.
seen but not heard. So when we get heard, we're like, oh, no, I don't like that. No, I'll let somebody else share their story, or I'll let somebody else take the line, like, or, no, everybody else can go first. I'll wait. And if you only need somebody, then come and
Yeah.
get me. Like,
That's exactly how I feel. Exactly. And you can't hide it as a skinny person. Like it's hard to be invisible. It really is.
So, what message do you have for listeners out there that would like to go through a process like this or get healthy?
Getting healthy it's just easy to do. Like not easy, but you just have to give up like some of your foods that you eat and stuff like that. But as for weight loss surgery, 6 years out, I would not recommend this for anybody unless you are absolutely ready to, because you can run into the most complicated situations after the surgery, and I would never want to see anybody like gain their weight back or even run into half of the complications. And I myself, I never really had great complications, but I've run into a couple complications. And from my weight loss surgery 2 years ago, I had a pannulectomy done, which I had 30 pounds of skin removed from the lower part of my abdomen.
Ooh.
Which was also life-changing for me. And
So,
it has allowed me to do lots of stuff now.
So what surgery was that called again, Angie?
It has an even longer word to it, but basically it's a pannulectomy. It's
Okay.
kind of like a tummy tuck, but they just removed the lower part of it, like I'm going to call it a flap, but that's probably not the right word. Like the pannule, bottom lower part of the stomach.
Yeah, I've heard that term before, the flap.
Yeah.
Removing the flap.
Skin removal surgery is extremely painful. And it's the first and last one that I'll ever have. I will not have any more surgeries like boobs and all that stuff. What you see is what you get. Like I'm not into all that stuff because it's painful. And the
surgery is painful.
Yeah, the pannulectomy took me a year and a half to completely heal from it in order for my muscles to actually join back together and stuff like that. And even to this day, it's been like 2 years since it happened. But even to this day, sometimes when I go to stand up, I'll get off balance and I'll just want to fall forward.
Oh, wow.
You have to relearn how to like hold your hips up and your butt and all this stuff. You even kind of have to relearn how to walk to have that much of a difference on your body.
Wow. And did you have that done in Canada?
Yeah, that I did at Camrose. And his name was Dr. Leone. And he's an amazing little dude. Yeah, he's so tiny, you just want to put him in your pocket. And as they were rolling me into the operating room, he's looking at my stomach and he's got the Jiffy marker out. He's all marking it up. And he's like, well, Angie, I don't actually know if you're going to get a belly button. And I was like, and then I told him how much weight I've actually lost. I was like, well, I've lost over 240 pounds. And as they're wheeling me into the surgery room, that's all I heard. She's lost over 240 pounds and she's getting a belly button. So I woke up with a belly button and I'm like, how weird. Like I didn't really want one, but it was a weird experience, I guess. But one of my favorites.
Well, explain the belly button, because some people don't have the belly button when they have their skin removed.
Sometimes they can't put it back in because of how much excess skin there was. And
oh, okay.
I had so much hanging
there that he's looking at it like, I'm not sure if we can do this, but he did it. He did a really good job too. It looks weird, but whatever. Yeah.
Wow. So Angie, I want to get into some of your favorite hobbies and things that you do. So you rescue animals. So what kind of animals do you rescue?
I don't right now because I live in an apartment. But I had a few bearded dragons. I had like 3 of them. At one point in time, we had 4 of them. And one of them was 3 years old, severely neglected. And I didn't realize that nobody'd fed him in a while. So I go to put my hand in the cage to feed him a worm, and he actually bit me. But it wasn't his fault at all. It was mine for because you shouldn't be so. But anyways, we made up, and he was my buddy for the longest time. And then I had a little kitten that I found on a farm, and he was found in floorboards, and he had some weird eye thing going on. So the little boys, it was at these little boys' house. So they kept bringing me this cat, and they're like, Auntie, you gotta. So anyways, needless to say, this thing came home with me, and I was going to go drop it off at the cat shelter because I'm massively allergic to cats, and everyone in my house was allergic to cats. And that was 4 years ago.
So you still have the little guy?
He's passed away recently. Oh. But because of the fires that happened in Drayton Valley, he didn't really. Anyways. And then we had another cat that we got from Cause for Critters, and she's still in Drayton Valley. And yeah, probably a couple dogs, and I don't know. I love animals. One day I want to own a chicken, and his name's going to be Cornelius.
Oh, I like that. That's a nice name.
Yeah. Because the chicken on the cornflakes box, the Kellogg's cornflakes box, his name is actually Cornelius the rooster.
Yeah. I didn't know that. I just learned something new.
In love with him for ever. So since I was little, I wanted a chicken. So yeah.
So Angie, I want to talk to you. You have 5 beautiful children. So what have your children taught you about your journey and their journey with you through the process?
My older children have taught me love and how to forgive. And they are the most amazing older children ever. They are they thems. And that was a whole process that I had to rewire my brain to accept. I said a few words that I should never have said because I was raised in a very religious environment and had my own opinions. But I love them and they love me, and we now have a great relationship. And my son, my firstborn son, was born to save my life. He's my joy. And my oldest child, I call them my hope. My second-born, I call them my love. And my third would be my joy. And my fourth is born to teach me patience. And my fifth, he was born in my heart. I don't say the word stepson. He was born in my heart. And he was born to show me faith.
So they really have taught you a lot.
Oh, totally. And they still do each day. Yeah. Because our children are born to teach their parents things. Because in my opinion, when I had them, I was like, oh, well, you're born a girl, so you got to do girl stuff, and girl and that. And it's like, no, we're going to rebel because and then I found all that stuff out. And I was like, ew. Okay, so you're basically born to live your own life, and just for me to love you for what you want to be and what you are, because I can't transform you into something that I want. Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah. Parenting is really hard. It doesn't come in instruction books, we learn. And Angie, was it hard for you to be a mom because your mom was hard on you?
I lived, my older kids didn't really live with me. They were kind of taken away and kept away from me for reasons unknown to all of us. But we have a great relationship today because of it. And when you say that, the only thing I ever wanted to be in my life since I was 5 years old was a mom. So I could be a better mom than my mom was to me. And through my mother's death and the healing process of it and my own weight loss surgery, I realized a lot about my mom. And I realized that she was born into a really crappy situation herself. And she didn't know anything and she didn't know any better. And she just tried to raise us to the best of her ability. So it's like she did the best that she could. And I don't think she actually physically knew the amount of damage that she did to me. But she also chose to die with me. And her and my stepdad always called me their favorite daughter. And I never understood why until the day that they both died. Because I was in the room with them when they both passed away. And they chose me to pass away with. And it enlightens my heart.
You know, sometimes we have our scars and we have our, you know, our struggles in life and journeys from our parents. And when it comes to that time, I think they want peace, right? They want to make peace before they pass. And it's nice to know that they had you there. You know, it puts closure as well, right? Because you're like, thank you for giving me this opportunity to be here to say goodbye.
Yes.
You know?
And with my mom, I needed that because her and I had this big fight before she passed away. And she said 3 of the meanest words to me that I held on for like the longest time and believed them, but I don't anymore. Today, I realized through my mom's life that I was born to love her. And I guess I just loved her a little bit too much and it scared her half to death. So she had to push me away because she couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
And that's how sometimes I feel about my children too, right? It's like, I can't really handle it right now, but we can talk and stuff like that. And it's really good to have that realization that, you know, some people can't handle love. But
it's that generation cycle, right? The patterns,
mm-hmm.
You know, that's why I always try to understand people when they hurt. You know, when they hurt me, I'm always like, okay, what did they have to go through? Why are they being like this? You know, like we have to sometimes look back and say, you know what, maybe this is all they know.
Yeah.
Maybe they were never taught different. So we're bringing in love and we're like, we love you. And they're like, oh, get away. Like, you know, it's different for them because they never got it. They never received it. And you're the one to break that cycle. You're the one to say, you know what, I want to show love. I want to be that story that's going to say, you know what, let's break this cycle. Let's, you know, and they say it takes up to 7 generations to break that cycle of abuse and neglect. So, you know, you could be that one person and then the next generation might say, you know what? No, I prefer to do the old way. Like, you know, because it's comfortable. That's all we know. Boom, let's do it. So then again, we have to start again and again. And that's why the cycle never ends, right?
Yeah.
Until somebody does it 7 times. And it takes a long time for 7. Because it could be your great grandchildren that are going to break that complete cycle.
Yeah, so, I was definitely
so Angie, I want to get in
cycle breaker.
Right. And I think us storytellers and coming out after our parents pass, I know for me as well, it was when my dad passed, I was like, okay, I can do it. I'm not going to be put in the psychiatric ward anymore. I'm not going to be locked up because I'm sharing this.
Yeah.
And, you know, the fear of sharing was less than the fear of my dad. You know, and I love my dad. I was a daddy's girl, and I was just like, no, the fear. So I get it when you say like when your mom passed, you were able to share your story and that. I want to get into the blessing blankets because you have so much blessings in life. You have this whole transformation, this whole life. Your children have given and taught you love. So what's these blessing blankets about?
When I first started going to church back in 2013, I was having like a spiritual awakening back then and stuff like that. So I would like just walk past certain people and it was like a spirit would talk to me. That sounding crazy anyways. And it was like, this person needs a blanket. And I'm just like, what? What do you mean this person needs a blanket? You're like, you want me to go make them a blanket? Like, that's weird. Like, what do? I just go hand it to them. So then I had this conversation with another adult. And I'm like, so I have like this spirit like talking to me, and they're like, Angie, go do it. And I'm like, what? Really? I was like, but that would mean I wouldn't be like invisible anymore. And I'm trying to be invisible over here. Like, what are you talking about? So, anyways, I listened and I went, and I don't even know anything about this woman or nothing, right? And it was this material that I found, and I was like, why this material? Anyways, cut a long story short, I gave her this blanket. And that's when I realized that it's a gift that I have to share with people. And she just looked at me. I didn't even know her name. Okay. And I'm like, here you go. Like, and I was like trying to figure out how you're going to explain this to like a godly person without sounding that you need to be in the psych ward. I was like, so like, I don't know. God decided that you needed this. Here you go. And what I'd made her was a breast cancer blanket. And she just started crying and crying. And I'm just looking at her like, and I wasn't looking for gratitude or anything from the blanket because I was just as confused handing it to her. She's like, you know what? And I just found out after that she had a double mastectomy. And she had breast cancer, and she'd been praying and looking for an answer in prayer. And I was the one to give that to her type thing. And I'm like, ew. Okay. So I was like, and then it was like, here's your calling. So I just learned how to make blankets and learned quilting. And that's like my thing. And Daphne, actually, I gave her a blanket. I think it's like 2 years ago or something. I made her a blessing blanket and gave it to her, and she uses it for her healing.
Oh.
When she does her massages and her Reiki and her stone stuff with the light. Yep, she uses my blankets. Or blanket, I should say.
Oh, that's cool.
And it you can feel when I give them to people, you can basically it feels like you're being hugged. They just feel like hugs.
Well, that's a blessing, right?
Yeah, and one of them actually went to Mexico for a charity quilt I made for the church when they were going down there. So it was given to a couple in Mexico. It was one of the
really nice
ones I've made.
So, Angie, any final words for anybody who's listening today?
Don't throw down your white flag or your flags or just, rise and shine. Take it 1 minute at a time, one breath at a time. And if you're struggling, like there's always somebody out there to help you. And if you feel so alone, then go be alone, go hug a tree. Like there's always something out there. And if there's a will, there's definitely a way. Like totally. Even if you don't have any money. Even if you don't have any money, man, it'll just come to you. Like, I don't even know how to explain. Like,
so if anybody would like to reach out to you, Angie, if anybody would like to reach out to you, how could they reach out to you?
On Facebook Messenger. I don't really have I don't understand technology. It took me almost an hour to try to figure out how to open this Teatime today. I'm not even lying. I'm surprised it worked because I was trying. I don't know, but it worked.
Well, you're here, so that's all that matters, right? So if anybody would like to, on the screen, you have seen the HTTPS link up. It was for the Amazon book. You can go and grab these books on Amazon. Angie, do you have any copies if anybody would like a signed copy?
Yeah, I do. I have a whole box.
Okay. So if anybody would like to reach out and have a signed autograph one from Angie, go ahead and reach out to her on Facebook. Again, check up on Amazon. These books are all on Amazon. They are in Barnes & Noble, Walmart, all of those good places. Sacred Hearts Rising is a 4-book series, and this is the 4th book. So again, Angie, I want to thank you for sharing your story in this book and getting us to connect and getting us to know each other. God put us together for a reason, and we have a lot of similarities in our stories that I wasn't aware of. So I want to thank you for sharing that. So I will be back at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the second tea time today from Scotland. And then we'll be going into United States. That's right. So this week I am doing the country girls. We are going to 3 different countries, Canada, Scotland, and USA. So stay tuned for that. And again, I want to thank everybody for the 100th episode. And thank you, Angie, for being my 100th guest for 2023. And I am truly blessed to have you sit at my table and share your story. So until then, I will see everybody at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and keep serving your tea. And that's how we make a difference in the world.
Yes.